Hey guys, Jen with Astro T. Today we are talking about the big aspect of the month, and that is the Mars and Uranus conjunction that is happening on July 15th at 26 degrees, 19 minutes of Taurus. So you can see on the handy dandy board, I thought this would be a great visual to bring out. So here we are with the conjunction right here in Taurus. So this is the aspect of the month, I would say, but it's intensified because of all the other aspects and all the other planetary motions that are building up to it and what's coming after. So I would really go back to, even to the full total solar eclipse that we had back in April, on April 8th, that was in Aries. Now that really kind of, got the ball rolling and just kind of got everything, snowballing forward, that domino effect. So it was conjunct Chiron, which was really kind of showing our weaknesses. And that is, I think, what really is what a lot of this is about, and a lot of what this big abrupt change is going to be in regards to. So pretty much that solar eclipse, it was pretty much saying, grab your popcorn, this is going to get crazy. Sorry, I'm not feeling that well, so if I have a couple hiccups, that could be why. So Saturn and Neptune almost simultaneously went and stationed to go retrograde. So they're pretty much still stationary. Has karma really moving to the forefront. So it's looking back really before looking forward. Like, what's that past karma that we're bringing in that we have to kind of, deal with first? The new moon in Cancer also at that nodal bendings that we talked about with that new moon in Cancer video. Definitely check that out. I'll put a link in the description if you haven't seen it. Is that critical turning point, that critical aspect that something's got to change. And I think that really is when we started seeing a lot of these things that we're going to bring up today. So that critical new moon, it was beginning that crucial period, setting off this chain of events. And I think we're really seeing it unfolding before our eyes. So remember, aspects have a building phase, and then they become exact, and then you're kind of like reaping the what you sowed, or kind of like the resonance of them afterwards. So we see this does become a full aspect on the 15th, but yet we are already starting to feel it and kind of starting to see, I think, what it's going to be all about. We should, with this, so Mars is that action. It's that, I'm going to do something and just act, sometimes without regard. And then Uranus is that, lightning bolts and sudden changes and quick stops and quick starts and, surprises and internet and things like that. So expect these shocks, expect these surprises, expect these sudden changes, because this all could be things that are happening and building up on the days prior to the day after, resonating much longer. I expect to really see this resonating, kind of lasting effects until 2025, especially since the conjunction is trining that Pluto. So see here, and it's trining Pluto. That means it's 4 signs away. And so that trine is really showing that this isn't going to be just a quick change. It's going to be something permanent, going to be something long lasting, because Pluto in there is that, complete and total transformation. So this is an out with the old, in with the new, abrupt out phase that can change the course of history pretty much. And this is the things that we've been looking for. It's this no turning back kind of a zone. We've been talking about this transformation that the world, especially here in the United States, is going to go through. With that Pluto teasing back and forth from Capricorn to Aquarius, and then back in Capricorn to Aquarius, almost at the degree, really close to the degree of the Pluto return for the United States. So we knew something was coming up with that had to do with the United States. And now we are seeing it really play out in real time. So It's very interesting. We didn't know how it was going to play out, years ago when we were really talking about it and, warning about it. But now I think we're starting to see what might happen. So this is happening in Taurus here, the earth sign. So this is very literally, it can bring up, changes to the earth itself. So the abrupt, crazy changes to the earth itself, with, say, we're already seeing that hurricane season is starting early. So that can bring a lot of changes. It can bring a lot of destruction. It's sudden, fast destruction with water. And we see the water signs brought in too, because we have the sextile here to Neptune and Saturn in the water sign of Pisces, and then what's also sextile to the sun in Cancer. So really bringing in that. So we see that watery aspect bringing in. So the early abrupt hurricane season is really not that much of a surprise, but also expect, I would say, earthquakes, landslides. We're bringing water in, we're bringing earth in. So landslides from too much rain, too much water, changes to the earthly foundations, maybe even like a volcano, who knows? But I would expect a lot of earthy kind of, abrupt things happening, weather to be really crazy, because of bringing in the two water signs, the Pisces and the Cancer. So tensions also around the world have been building, and we've seen that. We have the North Node in Aries, and that is about, people going for what they want without regard, and just, that's my brass ring, that's what I'm going for. And we see that with the war in Ukraine. We see that with, what's going on in the Israel conflict. So a lot of the tensions around the world are high, and a lot of what people feel about those conflicts is bringing up higher tensions as well. People, nations, groups acting without regard, just impulsivity happening. And, this is really bringing us to this catalyst. Like, it's going to be a death and rebirth. So hopefully something won't happen where, somebody just decides to drop a big bomb or something like that. But it could happen. This is very intense. It does have some good aspects, so hopefully it won't. But this is very unpredictable, because that is what Uranus is. It's very unpredictable. So, again, if something big does happen, you can't go back from it. You have to only move forward because of that Pluto in there. In that trine, it is about, kind of like getting rid of the old structure and bringing in the new, and then moving forward. Now we look at that crisis, what came about with that Cancer moon at at the bendings of the nodes. So what happened then that kind of added to a little bit of crisis? Well, the big story here in the US was really, I think, that had to do with that disastrous debate that happened, and that sudden reversal. Like, are we going to have to go back to the drawing board and get a new Democratic candidate because of, what we saw, us, because of his performance, or we see a lot of concern coming up because of that. So that was really a catalyst to say, like, okay, maybe something needs to change here. Maybe we're going to have to bring in somebody new and really start over from the ground floor, go back, start over and rebuild again. So maybe they're going to have to go back, get a different person, a different candidate to run and rebuild, because going back to square one, we don't know. As of late, we saw how it was, and it's starting to come out from a lot of different outlets. Is he fit to serve for 4 more years, or is he even fit to serve for 4 more days? It was very concerning. We also have the sun squaring Chiron. So we have here the sun, and here's Chiron here in this square aspect. So Chiron is about our wounds, our weaknesses, and what really can hold us back. And the sun illuminates that, because in that square, it's really kind of showing the world your weakness. It's showing the world your wound and what is a potential, issue that you might have. So now we can't hide it anymore. And things that might have been hidden for a while now are kind of in the limelight and kind of on the world stage, because that is what, the United States is pretty much on the world stage, and what happens here, everybody watches. So everybody's seeing what we're seeing. And so now we have to face it and we have to deal with it. So is it going to be going back to square one, that sudden change, that reversal back? And so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I won't be surprised if they switch out him as a candidate. It's pretty much just kind of written in the astrology of it. Also coinciding with the conjunction, on the exact date, on the 15th, is when the Republican National Convention begins. So, I mean, this is so on point with everything that's going on with the election that I think it's going to play a major role in the election. I think the stars are pretty much going to almost point out who is going to be the next president. And if it even is going to be the two that are currently the nominees. So, on the exact date, so this spans, the Republican National Convention spans from July 15th through the 18th. So pretty much that exact conjunction, and then like the resonation afterwards. And the conjunction is within 2 degrees of the Republican candidate of his midheaven. And it's sextile also to his Saturn and Venus. So I would really expect the unexpected. I would really, almost beef up his security, because this is something that we don't expect. This could be somebody that's just acting out irrationally, that could do something that you can't take back, something that can transform history. So, I think it's a little bit scary, because you just don't know what this aspect can bring. So I would expect the unexpected in events revolving around his candidacy, especially around the Republican National Convention and what happens in the days prior and to the days after. So, it's like a testing, it's a shakeup, it's a shaking up of his life, of his public image, that hitting his MC. And it's not always a bad aspect, because it does have the sextile to his Saturn and his Venus. So that means okay, he's getting what he worked for, and he's getting that recognition that he worked for, that Saturn. But it also, his MC is conjunct this fixed star called Algol. I'm sorry. It's a new one. It's kind of fresh for me, just learning about it and really looking into it when I saw that this was kind of in his natal chart. So it is called the Demon Star. So I do worry about the rash actions of others, acting out in that delusional derangement. We do have, that Neptune figuring in, so, and stationing. So Neptune just stationing is really kind of drilling that in, and it is at that 29th degree, that critical point in Pisces, where you almost feel desperate that something needs to be done. So that is what kind of scares me, because those people out there that have this just, they want something to end a certain way, and they're going to go to whatever means they can. I wouldn't even put it past that there might be an assassination attempt or an attack in the near future on the Republican candidate. And I wouldn't be surprised. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm just putting that warning out there. And it just looks very suspect. And, I just, think everything should be really beefed up. And I think that, if there are astrologers that are working with these, with the candidates, that they are warning of this. So I'm sure that they know about it already. So Mars is that planet of aggression, don't forget. So along with Uranus, that sudden, unforeseen act of violence can't be unexpected. So I would see that, in other aspects too, not just there, but these can happen pretty much anywhere, you know. So if you're out in groups, if you're out, you know, at a watch party, or who knows what you could be doing, just be aware. But on a brighter note, this conjunction, again, is sextile to the Saturn and Neptune, both retrograde in Pisces, and the Sun in Cancer. So that sextile, that is a happy kind of, you know, working together aspect. So we do have that watery, caring aspect. So, and that's at play that can help, you know, that wateriness can help douse that fiery Marsy flame. So I think it's also, you know, that caring kind of bubbles up, because if you look at the Democratic candidate, and a lot of people are saying that is this elder abuse and what's happening here. And I think that, you know, your heart really goes out to him when you see that he's struggling. And should he really be being put through this? Is his family forcing him to get put through this? As, you know, outside forces pushing him? And should he, you know, we use our sensitivity, our care, our empathy to kind of assist in that. But anyway, on a grander scale, these changes that we are forced to face, that we all know that are coming up, they may seem scary because we really didn't know what was coming. Now we're almost kind of getting a sneak peek. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen, because you don't know. There is free will, and we can see how this is going to play out. It doesn't point to anything exactly, but it does point to some warning signs, things that we need to look out for. And that's what's great about knowing astrology, because you know what's coming up. So you know, like, if I'm out somewhere and I need to be aware because this aspect is happening where I could fly off the handle. I don't want to go and get into a bar fight because someone pisses me off, you know, because I know that this might be there, and I have, say, my moon in Taurus, which I do. And so that, like, you know, could really just emphasize, and this aspect is actually happening exactly within 2 degrees of my moon in Taurus. So I'm just going to try and keep on a steady pace. Today is my anniversary, so hopefully this weekend with my husband will be great, even though we're both sick. But we'll see how that works out. Anyway, so, you know, when we look back, we can actually, you know, see that, you know, even though this future does look scary, this unknown change, this unknown transformation that the world is about to go through might seem terrifying to us. But when we look back, going back with this Neptune and Saturn retrograde, and then all the planets are going to be moving retrograde, all the outside planets. So it's really going to be a lot of looking back before we move forward. So we're going to be like, okay, you know what? I don't think this is as bad as I feared, and I am more, maybe we're all going to be a little more ready than we thought. Because you use that, you know, those retrograding planets to look back with wisdom, to see things with a new perspective. It's because now we have a lot more information to use that we didn't have before, and a lot more information is going to just keep coming out, because we also have this opposition here with Mercury and Pluto that's really kind of bringing out a lot of information. It could be a lot of false information, things that we don't necessarily trust, because Pluto, it does make us a little bit, you know, suspect, a little bit, you know, what are they saying? Is that true? Is that gossip? But it is in there, so we're going to be hearing things are going to be coming out, a lot of gossipy things too, about, I think, maybe even more people that are in celebrities that are going to be coming out, that we're going to be hearing about. I wouldn't be surprised with that. So but I really don't expect to see, you know, this just to come to light overnight. This is going to take a while, because this resonation, again, is going to go on for months, as by August and September, that is when all the outer planets pretty much will be retrograde. So anything beyond Mars is going to be going retrograde. So I wouldn't expect the dust to settle until probably about springish of 2025. And we also have the nodes changing signs. We're going to have Neptune, Uranus changing signs. So still a lot going on. But I think, you know, once things start moving forward, we're going to start seeing how to move forward and how and in what areas of life we're going to be moving forward in, and how things are going to change. On a personal level, we may feel that desire to act out, to do something, thrill seeking. This is the time of year where people are going to be going to theme parks and carnivals, and you see those, people want that exhilaration. They're going to want to go on the bigger and scarier and loop-de-loop roller coasters and all that, but make sure you do these things safely. If you're out doing cliff diving, I know there's a place in Maine, when we go out on the boat, or people jump off these rocks. And there's signs all over the place saying, do not jump off these rocks, but people still do it. But that is people seeking that thrill. And there's going to be a lot more people than just normal thrill seekers doing this because of this aspect, especially if you have a lot going on in Taurus, and the aspects that it's going to make to your personal planets and how this is going to affect you is, if you're going to feel compelled to do these things. That thrill seeking, that dangerous exhilaration, but be sure again to do it safely. Check out and don't do things out of haste, because that is when accidents happen. And we have Mars in there, and we have Uranus in there, and you do something quick and you could have an accident. Mars is famous for causing accidents. So it makes me think of those little pop-up carnivals that happen, and they're at a lot of churches or in mall parking lots. And you just wonder sometimes, are all the safety measures really checked here? Everything's put up so fast. Remember when my kids were young, I never really wanted to go on any of those rides. I said, okay, we'll get you a lot of food and you get hyped up on candy, but we're not really going to go on any of the scary rides because, just not really trusting. So, I don't want to make y'all paranoid out there, but I just want to get you informed and to get y'all thinking. You want to keep your eyes open. You want to always be aware of your surroundings. And this is huge. You want to look at anybody that seems like their actions are suspect. Are they being shifty? Are they alone and kind of in an awkward type way? Or are they are there bags being left around where there shouldn't be, like oddly placed bags? Like think about the Boston Marathon bombing where they just dropped their bags. Look for things like that. Know where all the exits are in case there is a fire that pops up. And that reminds me of the fire in Rhode Island with I think the band was Great White, where the whole music venue caught on fire and lots of people got killed because they didn't have all the doorways marked, so a lot of people didn't know how to get out. So so this is things you want to look out for, because Mars fire, sudden fires, something could be starting. You want to be aware and know where you are. Familiarity, okay, I cannot pronounce that word. Familiarity is key. So just, if you're going to get out there, be crazy, be rebellious, do it safely, or just hunker down at home. That's probably what we're going to be doing because we're sick, but, do what you want to do, have fun. Don't let this impede on your life, but just be aware, be safe. And of course, be sure to subscribe and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Comments and likes and those kind of things, they really help boost the channel so we can help grow the channel, get the word out to everybody, and just let everyone know what is going on. So don't fly off the handle, because look, it's this aspect and it's going to pass. All this is going to pass, because as above, so below. What's going on up there is what's causing things to go on down here. If we know what's going on up there, we know what we can expect to go on down here. So I just want to let y'all just know, please comment, please subscribe, and check out little shorter videos on TikTok if you don't have time to watch all of this. And I will see y'all soon. Bye.